match starts off, we have Bret the Hitman Hart as the number one entrant, and Tito Santana as number two. And it's pretty good from the get-go. These two start going at it.
You start off with Tito Santana and Bret Hart. I mean, Bret Hart is one of the best to ever live and wrestle. So, I mean, and Tito's not too bad himself.
Yeah, so it was pretty exciting from the get-go. But then we get the natural Butch Reed, who joins them in the ring, and it becomes a 2-on-1 against Tito. Not only does that happen, but the fourth entrant is the other member of the Hart Foundation. Jim the Anvil Neidhart comes in, and then it's 3-on-1. And at some point, they could have eliminated Tito, but instead, they just tortured him.
Yeah, they made a mistake there. They really should have gone for the elimination as soon as possible. Instead, they give time where the fifth entrant, Jake the Snake Roberts, comes out.
Yeah, so Jake the Snake Roberts, he comes down the aisle. Finally, another face comes in the ring with all these heels, and he comes after you can see that the three of these heels are trying to eliminate Tito Santana. Jake the Snake comes and surprises the natural Butch Reed, tosses him over the ropes, and we have our first elimination 3 minutes and 18 seconds into the very first Royal Rumble. So, congratulations, the natural Butch Reed. You just made history.
First ever.
This is a first in Royal Rumble history. So, after that, we get more entrants, but not a lot of eliminations for a little while there. We get the King Harley Race. Then we get Jim Brunzell. Then we get Sam Houston. Then we get Danny Davis. And then now the number 10th entrant, Boris Zakov. And during this time, the only elimination I believe we saw was Tito Santana finally got eliminated by Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. But it took him 10 minutes and 41 seconds to finally eliminate him. So, 10 entrants into the ring. We've got 2 eliminations. We've got 8 men in the ring. This has been a fun match.
Yeah, this is what you love about Royal Rumbles. You have there was that moment where all the entrants were trying to get Bret the Hitman Hart out. They just all kind of piled on each other. That was fun. Really enjoying this match so far.
Yeah, definitely when you, and I know in most Royal Rumbles I've watched, you almost always have a giant that shows up. We haven't had that giant show up yet.
Yeah, we'll probably get that in the form of maybe Big John Studd, because I'm pretty sure Andre's not it.
Andre seems to be
title.
He's focused on Hogan. Hogan's definitely not, I don't believe, is going to be in this. Andre just had his little contract signing, so I don't think he's going to be in this. So yeah, we could get a Big John Studd, a King Kong Bundy,
one man gang,
Bam Bam Bigelow. So we'll see who we end up getting. But you would assume, based off of Royal Rumble tradition, we would get that big guy to enter the ring. And so far, 10 entrants. And remember, this is only 20 men. So far, we haven't quite got that. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, or that tradition doesn't start here.
Fair enough. It's very possible. Once again, we have never watched this. A lot of these old Royal Rumbles we've never seen. So it is kind of exciting to not really know. But let's go ahead and keep moving on. See where this Royal Rumble takes us. Okay, so the next guy we get, and this was an interesting one, we have The Rock, Don Morocco, coming down, but at the same time, here comes Nikolai Volkov. Nobody knows what's going on. We got 2 guys showing up at the same time. So these two kind of exchange blows for a minute, and then the referees kind of, make things a little bit more aware that Don Morocco is the 11th entrant in this Royal Rumble
Nikolai
match.
Volkov was not smelling what The Rock was cooking.
Absolutely not. He wanted in there really bad. That's probably because his partner, Boris Zolkov, was in the ring and he wanted to help him out. Because guess what happens before Nikolai Volkov can enter the ring? Jake the Snake Roberts and Jim Brunzell eliminates Boris Zolkov.
Yes, they did.
So as this match keeps going on, we have Hacksaw Jim Duggan show up.
Ho!
Number 14 is the Outlaw Ron Bass.
I don't have anything for that.
Then we have another Killer B, number 15B, Brian Blair.
Boo.
Now at number 16 entrant, we have Hillbilly Jim.
Yeah.
Then we have Dino Bravo comes in at number 17.
Johnny Bravo's back.
And then number 18, I know, Blaze, you have been waiting for this. Here comes, running down the aisle, the Ultimate Warrior. Dun 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 dun. Even Bella was excited about that. That's my dog, ladies and gentlemen. So then, number 19, we finally get the big man that we had been talking about.
The one-man gang.
One-man gang. And then number 20, one of my personal favorites. We finally get...
last show.
Yeah, we missed him in the Survivor Series, but he's back for the Royal Rumble, baby. And that's the Junkyard Dog. Arr, 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 arr.
But we didn't get Roddy Piper.
No, still no Roddy Piper in
This is a sad day.
in this show. So, not sure. Maybe there was an injury going on there. We're not sure where he disappeared to at this time.
If anybody knows, feel free to contact us.
So anyhow, so this match continues. We start getting people eliminated. At one time, I think we at least had 10 men in the ring, which seems to be about the max that they've kind of let happen, and then they'll get somebody eliminated, bring somebody in. But this match has been a blast.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Okay, so this match starts speeding along pretty quickly at one point, where guys are getting eliminated by the handful.
Yeah.
So we start seeing guys like Bret the Hitman Hart getting eliminated by The Rock Don Morocco. We see Jake the Snake Roberts get eliminated by the one-man gang.
Yeah, that was sad.
We even see your fan favorite, the Ultimate Warrior. He gets picked on by Dino Bravo and One Man Gang. They both eliminate him. He didn't last very long. 3 minutes and 51 seconds is all he lasted in the Royal Rumble.
And they didn't really show his throw out either. It's like the camera was on something else, and then they show him being thrown out of the ring. I don't even... Who threw him?
Dino Bravo and One Man Gang ganged up on him.
Yeah, well, we didn't see that.
It was kind of quick. They didn't really. It was.
They
it was
showed
getting to
the
a point.
aftermath.
It was getting to the point where the action started getting pretty fast.
Yeah.
Where everybody just started getting eliminated. You had Junkyard Dog. He unfortunately got eliminated by the Outlaw Ron Bass. And then we're down to our final four.
Well, you forgot about Nikolai Volkov and Danny Davis.
Okay. Nikolai Volkov gets eliminated by Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Oh.
And Danny Davis also gets eliminated by Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
You just threw him out so fast.
That was a fun one.
Yeah.
He went into a 3-point stance like in football, and he just kind of tackled him out over the ropes. It was pretty
fun.
cool. So then we get down to our final four, which is The Rock Don Morocco, One Man Gang, Dino Bravo, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Ho!
Yeah, this is I have to say, it was a pretty decent Royal Rumble, but I wasn't a big fan of that Final Four.
Well, that's the Final Four we got, whether you like it or not. First one out of those four eliminated was The Rock, Don Morocco. He kind of got ganged up on by Dino Bravo and One Man Gang. They eliminated him. So then it didn't look too good for old Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He was getting double teamed by the heels. But luckily, there was some discord. One Man Gang clothesline Dino Bravo out of the ring after
Hacksaw kind of ducked.
After Jim Duggan ducked out of the way. So he got a little help from One Man Gang. So then it's down to Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the One Man Gang. And it was pretty fun. But ultimately it came down to One Man Gang's own momentum that kind of got him eliminated. He came charging after Hacksaw, and Hacksaw was smart enough to pull down the top rope. He rolled over. Here is your winner of the very first Royal Rumble match, Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
I'm okay with this winner. However, I feel like I'm a little sad that the Ultimate Warrior didn't make it to the Final Four. It's like, I guess he wasn't that big at this time. Or, I don't know. I feel like they did the Warrior wrong.
So let's break down this Royal Rumble. You had One Man Gang. He had the single most eliminations with 6. You had Bret the Hitman Hart last the longest with 25 minutes, 42 seconds.
Yeah, he was in there a long time.
You have, which we've already mentioned, the Natural Butch Reed became the first ever entrant into a Royal Rumble to be eliminated.
Oh, yeah. Good
and
for
then,
him.
of course, the first person
Way to make
ever.
history.
First person ever to win the Royal Rumble, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So this was a fun match. I really enjoyed it. I always loved the Royal Rumble, and this didn't change my opinion about the Royal Rumble one bit. It was sad that there was only 20 men, but as we know, it changes to 30 down the road.
Well,
so it'd be interesting to
30
see
next
when
year.
it become. Is it 30 next year?
I believe it's 30 next.
So this was the only 20-man Royal Rumble match.
Yes.
Okay, so this will be the first time we get 20 men, and it becomes tradition for 30 men, and we will find out as we keep watching these shows when exactly they change it to the winner gets a title shot at WrestleMania.
Did Hacksaw Jim Duggan win anything for this?
You know, according to everything they're saying, I didn't hear that there was any kind of
stipulation
award or anything
he just
for winning
won.
this Royal Rumble. So we'll have to keep watching this show and finding out if anything more is said. But as of right now, I don't see there was any kind of prize to win this. It just must have been something fun they thought it would be interesting to do. And it obviously turns into history down the road because we still enjoy the Royal Rumble match to this day.
Yes, we do.
So, moving on, I think we might have only one more match left of the night. So, let's keep watching and see how this show shakes up. Okay, so before we move on to the main event, we get a promo with Hulk Hogan talking about the contract signing and the upcoming match they keep promoting for February 5th. It almost feels to me that we might have to take a look at this. It's not a WrestleMania. It's not a Survivor Series. It's not a Royal Rumble, and it's not even a SummerSlam. But don't you feel like we kind of have to check this out?
Maybe we could do a bonus episode We'll watch that Hulk Hogan versus Andre match, say our thoughts on it, and just give a bonus episode for it.
We might have to do something, either a bonus episode or maybe bring it up at the next WrestleMania, which would be the next show that we have going on, because
we're definitely going to have to talk about it, because
this is the rematch. How this rematch wasn't at WrestleMania or any of the big pay-per-views is beyond me, but this feels like a big deal, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it definitely feels like a big deal. I mean, $1 Million Man is putting all his money onto it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I know the history. I'll leave it alone for now. We'll save it for the next show, but I kind of know where this goes.
How do you know that? We haven't watched it yet.
Well, because this happened 30 years ago. So it's kind of something that I'm aware of. This match not only is a big deal rematch, but this match also leads into what happens at WrestleMania. So it feels like a big enough moment that we should definitely take a look at it and revisit this match.
Now the question is, do we have access to this match?
This is a good question. We have WWE Network to our disposal. We'll have to find out if we do have access.
I believe I read that it was on a pay-per-view called Main Event.
Was it a pay-per-view or just a televised special?
Pretty sure it was a pay-per-view.
We'll have to look into it. We've got the date. We know when the match is, and we've got the internet to our disposal if we can't figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, so moving on to the main event. Okay, so the main event of this Royal Rumble special, I'd say, not really a pay-per-view, is the Islanders, Haku and Tamu, versus the Young Stallions, Paul Roma and Jim Powers. Now, this was supposed to be... this was a best 2 out of 3 falls match, similar to the Women's Tag Team Championship match earlier in the night.
Yeah, but this was pretty much a squash match.
Yeah, it kind of became a squash match, and I don't think that was the idea.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this. So the match starts off kind of exciting enough. I believe it was Paul Roma had a really, really good drop kick that just looked amazing.
Yeah.
But it kind of went downhill after that drop kick, didn't it?
A little bit.
So the Islanders toss him outside, and he falls on the apron outside, and you can tell almost immediately something wrong has happened. He does not... This doesn't feel like he's playing up an injury. This feels like he legitimately is hurt.
They took him in the back and everything. I'm pretty sure this was a legit injury.
Yeah, it was even kind of awkward because, well, as we keep talking about, this was a television special. So they count him out. They award the first fall to the Islanders. Mm-hmm. But when we get back from commercial break, the Islanders are in the ring and the Young Stallions are nowhere to be found. And instead, they go to an interview with Andre the Giant, $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and Virgil.
Yeah.
So
something that was probably for the end of the show or something.
Yeah, probably was supposed to be after this match, but they went ahead and did it during this time. So there was a little bit of confusion where we wasn't 100% sure if the show kind of was over. Was they going to finish this match? Because they didn't really tell us. They just kind of went to this interview as if it was normal to go to an interview in the middle of a match. So
well, it wasn't in the middle. That was the end of the first fall. You know, he got counted out because he got injured and couldn't get back in the ring.
Fair enough. But in a best 2 out of 3 falls, one of the teams don't usually go to the back and rest up before the next 2 falls. So this was unusual.
It was unusual, but yeah, it was. it was, just to be clear, the first fall was over.
Yes, they counted them out. They finished the first fall. So then we get this interview with Andre the Giant where we hear $1 Million Man talk at first, and then we get some mumbling from Andre.
Correct.
And constantly, the only thing I could really understand from him was February 5th. That was about the extent, because I think he was trying to claim, even though Hogan beat him at WrestleMania 3, he's trying to claim he is still undefeated, but it kind of came out, I am still defeated. But he really wasn't getting that unword in front of the defeated. So it was kind of an awkward interview. So thankfully he has
Way
guys.
to insult the dead guy.
I'm not trying to insult him. He is French, so that's one thing. And then because of his gigantism, it was just hard to understand Andre. He really needed that Bobby the Brain Heenan. And now, as we know right now during this portion of his career, $1 Million Man, to really talk for him. So it was kind of awkward to even give him the mic, because he really just said everything $1 Million Man already said, but just more in a mumbly French accent, hard to understand voice.
You know what? He's going to throw rocks at you from heaven.
He probably would. And he can probably lift big rocks and boulders.
He can.
So
Haven't you seen The Princess Bride?
Yeah.
He throws rocks.
I've seen The Princess Bride, and we would like to give a shout out to one of our listeners, Greg out there, who he shamed us on our Facebook page. Flat out shamed us for not mentioning The Princess Bride during that WrestleMania match, because, as he pointed out, Princess Bride was released the same year as that WrestleMania, and he was absolutely disgusted with us that we never talked about the movie. So we'd like to take this moment.
He also praised me
did
for
praise
bringing
you.
I did bring up the movie. I just didn't mention it came out the same year.
No, this is true. But
As long as I keep seeing Andre, I'm going to keep referencing that movie because it's great.
So apparently on our wrestling podcast, we should have dived into more discussion about a movie that came out the same year as this WrestleMania. And we'd like to apologize to Greg, the listener, because we want to give you people what you want. So please keep giving us that feedback, and we will either praise you for it or shit on you later. We haven't decided yet. It just depends on the feedback.
Inconceivable!
Inconceivable. So here we go. We take another commercial break, and as we come back from commercial, we finally get the conclusion of this match, which really, as you had already mentioned, kind of became a squash match at this point.
And it kind of had to be. I mean, essentially the end of this match, I mean, the other guy got in there a little bit, but Roma just...
he couldn't do much.
Yeah, they just kept on attacking his leg.
It was kind of odd that he even got back in the ring.
Yeah, I don't know why they tagged him back in.
So we would like to discuss how Mr. Jim Powers is the biggest coward we have ever seen in the sport of professional wrestling.
I thought that was my job.
Because, okay, so when they first come out, the referee states that because of the way the match had
because he was the
ended
one that
with the first
got
fall,
the loss, because he got counted out, he had to be in the ring first.
They would not let Jim Powers come in the ring to start the match.
Fair.
So Paul Roma had no choice but to start the match, even though you can clearly see he is one-legged at this point.
Yeah.
So then we get a quick tag to Powers, and you think to yourself, thank God this guy can just sit on the apron and finish the match. But that's not what happened.
For some reason, he's like, hey, you with the bad leg, why don't we tag you back in?
So apparently, a one-legged Paul Roma is better than a two-legged Jim Powers at this point. And I really felt bad for him
It
because
was a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
Here's the reality, and let's acknowledge that wrestling's fun, it's a show, but even though it's still a show, that man looked legitimately hurt. Why would you tag him in? It was just sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was sad, and then the Islanders had no choice but to beat up on him and to target the leg, because why wouldn't you? And eventually the ref stepped in during a submission hold, and the ref stepped in and finally ended the match and said, enough, that's 2 falls. Now, and it brings me up to another conversation. Have you ever seen a 2 out of 3 falls match end in 2 falls?
Not that I can think of.
It almost always goes 1-1
I've also
and then
never
the
seen
third
a
fall.
pay-per-view with 2 out of 3 fall match.
This is a fair thing to bring up. I've never seen that either. And
Both
not only was it 2 matches that were 2 out of 3 falls, but there were 2 tag team matches.
Yeah, and this. Okay, I'm just gonna say this right now. This was even if he didn't injure his leg, this was a terrible main event. Like, why do you have the island? It wasn't even a title match. Why do you have this follow your Royal Rumble? The match that this entire thing is named after, you don't have as the main event. You have the Islanders versus the Young Stallions. Like, were they big back then? Like, did people mostly care about these tag teams? Like, it wasn't even a title match.
No, it wasn't, and that wasn't the main event. Wasn't a title match. It was a tag team match. It was kind of odd. They didn't even give us any kind of a backstory on why these 2 are the main event of this show. So they clearly made this a television special. Matter of fact, I'd like to point out how often we saw promos in the weightlifting thing, and it felt like an episode of Monday Night Raw as opposed to a pay-per-view, which is very odd for me to see because I never knew that about the first ever Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
and I just learned this.
Yeah, it was very weird. It was an okay show overall. I mean, I still enjoy Royal Rumble, so that really helped it, but yeah, this was This kind of not as disappointing to me as WrestleMania 1, but kind of a disappointing start.
Yeah, I mean, the Royal Rumble match was exciting, and that's what we came to see. But the show overall wasn't what we thought a Royal Rumble pay-per-view was going to be, and that was kind of odd to see. We saw one title match, and it was a tag title for the women's tag team title. But that was the only match that even really showed any kind, and they didn't even give us a backstory, but us watching Survivor Series just recently, we kind of saw there was a feud brewing there, but outside of that, they didn't really explain why they were fighting.
Although
they just
kind of felt like the Killer
became the number
Bees
one.
would have made more sense in that match over the Young Stallions. Yes, the Young Stallions were at the end, but it was the Killer Bees that got the win in that Survivor Series match.
Fair enough.
Against the Islanders.
So yeah, it was just kind of a different show overall. It's kind of funny how sometimes you remember history a little differently, and this is what we're learning. Keep in mind, I was 4 when this show came out.
Yeah, this isn't history for us. I mean, other than we've heard about it, so, we looked in the textbooks for it, but we weren't really watching wrestling when we were like 4 and 5.
And if we wasn't really paying enough attention to know these details either.
No.
All right, so let's move on to our first segment. Favorite match of the night. Okay, so the favorite match of the night, really, we're going to kind of have a rule on this for the Royal Rumble because it would be redundant if we constantly do Royal Rumble pay-per-views, and it would be, obviously, most of the time it's going to be our favorite match of the night. So we're going to just scrap the Royal Rumble as if that's not considered a match.
We'll do we'll do specific segments for the Royal Rumble
Yeah.
instead of allowing it to be part of our favorite match of the night.
Right.
So we will do some stuff. Maybe we won't figure it all out, but right now, but we will do segments for the Royal Rumble specifically. So this favorite match, our least favorite match. Now I say if you want to say the least favorite match of the night is the Royal Rumble, that's okay. But if it's
But it's not going to be the favorite.
But it's not going to be the favorite. Like if you honestly think that the main attraction, the Royal Rumble, is your least favorite, then by all means say the least favorite match of the night is the Royal Rumble. But favorite match of the night is going to go to any matches other than the Royal Rumble.
Okay, fair enough. So in this show, we only had 3 matches to choose from. So my opinion of the favorite match of the night had to go to the Jumping Bomb Angels versus the Glamour Girls. 2 out of 3 falls for the WWF Women's Tag Team Championship. I thought it was a very fun match. I thought it had the biggest pop of the night, outside of probably Duggan winning the Royal Rumble. There was a huge pop. I mean, you could see it. As soon as they won the titles, that crowd went wild. So for me, that was the best match of the night. I liked some of the things that happened in that match. And even though I didn't 100% dislike the first match, which would have contended for my other one, there was just moments that dragged out that kind of made me sway this way. How about you, Blaze?
See, I completely disagree. I think the first match was the best match of the night. I think it was, it was the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Ravishing Rick Rude. Definitely the best match of the night, because I didn't see the same issues with it as you did. I felt like those slow parts were good storytelling, so I disagreed with that. The Bomb Angels, that was a decent match. I can see why. I mean, we only have 3 to choose from here, so
fair enough.
I get your choice there, but no, I'm gonna go with the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat match.
Okay, so that moves on to our next segment.
Worst match of the night.
Okay, so worst match of the night, you only have 3 to choose from. Well, actually, no, in this case, based off of your rules, Blaze, you have 4 matches to choose from, because if you so would like to, the Royal Rumble could be included in your worst match of the night. So, Blaze, tell me, what do you think the worst match of the night tonight was?
Well, it's not the Royal Rumble. It's obviously, and I don't think this is a fault of the competitors in this match, but it's the Islanders versus the Wild Stallions. And, well, you know what? I think it's partially booking. I mean, yes, part of it's the injury, definitely made that a bad match, but it's partially booking. There is no reason that should be the main event of this Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
No reason. That was bad booking, in my opinion.
I would agree with you here. Even if the events of the match didn't happen the way it did, it definitely seemed awkward. If you're making an event, and this is your brand new event, and you didn't have some big title match or something going on, this should have been the Royal Rumble as the main event, unless you had something bigger
Unless you had
to
like
follow.
Hogan versus Andre rematch.
Exactly. We're talking WrestleMania 3 all the way till right now. You're talking, you've had almost a year to have this rematch, and what better way to cap off this night would have been Andre versus Hogan, but instead what you get is constant promos, you get this contract signing. So I would have to agree with you that the worst match of the night definitely was the Islanders versus the Young Stallions, which is very unfortunate because we were watching the match together in the very beginning of that match. I mean, it was kind of exciting.
It wasn't bad.
But they're
I like the Islanders.
Yeah, and Paul Roma really was impressing us early in this match that we were like, wow, this might be an exciting match. And as soon as he got injured, the match just derailed. And that is not of anybody's fault. Injuries happen in the business, but the reality is it happened, and there isn't enough sample size of this match to help bring it back from the grave of this show.
And it's not like you have a lot of options here.
Right. So it's really sad to talk.
Actually, can I say the worst match of the night is Johnny Bravo doing his strongman thing?
If it was a match, I'd allow it, because that was 10 minutes I don't think we can get back.
We can't.
So, and then as of...
podcasters, not time travelers.
Exactly. So... Unfortunately, we don't have enough Royal Rumbles to do the rankings, but this would have to be the best and the worst as of this episode. But let's go ahead and go on to something special maybe we can try to do every episode of Royal Rumble. And why don't you tell me your favorite elimination from the Royal Rumble?
I'm going to have to go with the one-man gang... and Hacksaw Jim Duggan ducking, and One Man Gang taking out
Dino Bravo?
Dino Bravo.
Okay, fair enough. My favorite
There wasn't a lot of exciting exits in this Royal Rumble.
Fair enough.
It's the first one, so fair.
So my favorite moment was when Hacksaw Jim Duggan got down in the three-point stance and he tackled Danny Davis over the top ropes. To me, that was the most fun in the whole match. I mean, there was a lot of good spots in this match, but for me, that was just the best elimination that really stood out to me. I know in later Rumbles we get a lot of different eliminations, a lot of fun different eliminations. This one, it was mostly people just kind of grabbing onto him and then tossing him over. Not a lot of pizzazz in this one when it came to the eliminations. So there wasn't a lot of sample size to choose from. But for me, that was a little bit unique enough to stand out for me as the best.
Okay,
so...
That was all right. It was a fun... I mean, as far as eliminations go, it's definitely up there in this Royal Rumble.
Definitely. Okay, so that is the end of our Royal Rumble episode. We have finally got through that. We have one more WrestleMania to get to. I believe we're going to probably revisit that main event. Maybe watch for that to be a special bonus episode.
Mm-hmm. And then, who knows? Maybe we'll just do the whole show. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. We'll take a look at it. And then, of course, then we finally get to finish the Big Four, and we finally get to have our first taste of SummerSlam. So we're starting to move along on this podcast, and we're really excited to see what comes up. And this is our show, our rules. If we see something special that happened the year of that we're watch for bonus episodes we might drop based off of, I know there's been moments in history like Hell in a Cell and, where The Undertaker threw down Mankind off the top of the cage. I'd love to revisit, moments like that would be fun to do.
Right.
So we'll just have to see where this goes. So, you're gonna have to cut.
No. That would be Rage laughing because his family is on drugs apparently and acting weird.
Okay, so if we're gonna continue to record this, give you a little backstory. My beautiful wife Tracy lost my birthday present. She of course did what any mother would do in this position, and she blamed it on our daughter Scarlett. Fair enough,
as
right?
As one does.
I've pointed the fingers at my kids before. Definitely. Well, anyhow, while we have been recording this podcast, it turns out my wife is not going to get credit for this because my oldest daughter, Janessa, is going to immediately take credit for this. And she found my birthday present. So I would like a huge thank you to my wife and my 3 beautiful girls because they got me a awesome, lovely Raiders polo that maybe I'll take a picture with and post it on the page. This is pretty exciting. They know that I love my Raiders gear. I'm a huge Raiders fan, and this is a wonderful birthday present. I would just like to say thank you. I'd also like to say thank you to my brother Blaze, who sent out a special message as a small bonus episode, as a huge, big old happy birthday to me. I'd like to say thank you to you as well. And I'd like to also point out
this was like 2 weeks ago.
This was, but you know what? I don't care if it was 2 weeks ago. I'd like to share this memory. I'd also like to point out that when I was doing the social media stuff, that I found out I share a birthday with Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
Who's
Kevin
always
Nash.
been one of your favorites.
Always been one of my favorites. Huge fan of him as Diesel. When he was buddying up with Shawn Michaels. Became an even bigger fan of his when he jumped sides to the WCW and was with the Outsiders and created the NWO. To me, he's always been a great superstar in wrestling history, and he's my favorite big man in wrestling history. So you have those 7-foot tall giants and stuff. To me, he's always been my favorite. And so a huge thank you to everybody that made my birthday special, and a big thank you to you listeners for listening to the show. I thank you all, and that will be it for me tonight. I am Rage.
I'm Blaze.
Bye.
Farewell from Rage's Pit.
Farewell. And your winners, and still tag team champions of podcast, The Rage
And Blaze Show.
Thank you for listening.
Good night.